Coming up this week on the Digital Lifestyle Show, Richard here, and we've got lots to talk about. We've got latest Windows Insider news, we've got Xbox news, Windows on ARM, Surface Duo, and lots more. So let's get straight to Richard. Richard, good evening.
Good evening.
No Gary tonight, but we're back this week after our week off last week.
Yep.
So we give you a chance to respond. We're back after our week off last week, and actually we weren't really having a week off because we recorded a special show last week that's probably going to go out next week.
Okay.
So it's a special show with the Windows Insider team, or a guest from the Windows Insider team. So we'll have that. Should be on next week's show, that chat. So looking forward to that. So we've got plenty to talk about today. We've got some Windows news, bit of Xbox news, your phone app updated. I can talk about that, and I've got the new media player app as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
Can talk about that. I was really excited to get it, and then went, okay. As are these things, you want them, and then you get them, and it's like, okay, that's good. So we've got plenty to talk about tonight. One thing I just want to say, my son has just ordered this after when he got home from work a Nintendo Switch because he wanted the Switch, and he ordered a game for it as well. He tried to order it from Nintendo, got messed about by Nintendo, so he ordered it from Amazon, which seems to be what happens. Everybody you try other places, then you end up back on Amazon, don't you? I think there's quite a few people like that.
Annoyingly so, yeah.
Yeah, and the game's just arrived. He got home from work at 5:30. And I don't live in the middle of London or anything like that. I don't live in the city centre. But the game is just before I came out to record, the knock at the door, and some guy delivered an Amazon package with his game in. It's not got his Switch yet. I don't think that's coming till tomorrow. But anyway, and it's no wonder we people have no patience to wait for things anymore, is it? When you can get whatever you want within minutes.
He's bought an actual physical, a real.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I said, how come it's not just a code anymore? Is it not a code? He said, no, this one is a physical game that you plug in.
Cool.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, this is why we don't have any patience anymore, because you can whatever you want, you can get within 2 hours. It's just
it's all too easy. It's all too easy now, really.
When I got a game for my Spectrum in 1983 or whatever it was, it used to take 28 days for delivery from the case catalogue.
It's yet another thing. Imagine what lockdown would have been like if we hadn't been able to order things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Disastrous.
Yeah. So anyway, that's I'm pleased for him. He's got his game. He's not got his Switch, but I think it just makes people even more impatient now when you can get everything in minutes and seconds like that. And then when you have to copy gigabytes of files around the network at work, people complain how long it takes. And I blame Amazon. Right, well, I've got lots of stuff I wanted to talk about today. We've got quite a bit of Windows Insider type news. I'll tell you what I did get tonight. I did get a couple of days ago was the updated Your Phone app. Actually, I should be able to show it you. I can put it on this machine, although it's probably full of people's phone numbers and things like that, so I might not want to share that out. I'll check. But yeah, have you seen that?
Yeah, it's been given a bit of polish, hasn't it? It's nice.
Yes. So I'm not going to share that because I can't be bothered I can't be bothered blurring it all out. But yeah, I can share this bit of it, I'm guessing, because it also includes some Surface pictures on here, so I can click blur out the important numbers later. Oh, it's a pity I can't just hover over the window now, isn't it, and just do share.
Yes.
But I'm not running on the dev builds, so I can't show you that one. So there you go. So you can see here the new app.
It's all lovely and roundy now.
Yeah, rounded corner. But you notice all the notifications come down this left-hand side here now instead of being in the middle. And in the middle was notifications, or you could choose between photos, messages, and whatever. But now the notifications are always on that left-hand side, while the pictures are all in the middle, which I thought was pretty cool, actually. Yeah. So it's all right. I mean, it's not a huge overhaul, but yeah, it's quite good. eagle-eyed viewers will notice I've no apps section here because I'm connected to a Microsoft phone. If I was connected to a Samsung phone, I would have apps.
I'm also surprised to see the actual window's got square corners on it.
Oh,
or is
this
that just
bit.
a facet of Teams?
Yeah, it's 20. Oh, yeah.
No, it's maximised. Sorry, it's maximised. That's it.
Yeah.
Getting old.
Yeah. I can show you. Let's look at this picture. This picture I took with the Surface Duo. That's quite a good example of the quality of the camera. So obviously at night I took this. There's no editing on this picture. I was at the Royal Horticulture Centre, RHS Bridgewater, which is the new gardens in Manchester, and they've got an evening event on called Glow, and they light it all up really different colours. So
Right.
that was taken there. It's a really nice, fun little thing to, especially if you've got.
They really have improved that camera, haven't they? Because that looks like a relatively modern smartphone.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Duo one, which, shall we say, I think might have struggled in those conditions.
Yeah, definitely low light. And of course, there was so much delay as you faffed around swapping screens and making sure the camera was on the right screen that you would probably, even the static trees would have gone by then. So it worked out quite well. But anyway, that's your phone app. It looks quite good. I do use it quite a bit now. Actually, your phone. I have, but it's a real shame that you can't have the Android apps like you can running separately. Although I can run Android apps already on this device because I've got the Windows subsystem for Android installed on it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it's so many ways of doing almost the same thing.
Yeah. I did install the Android subsystem on my Surface Go. I think I talked about this last week, actually, but over the weekend I put Philips Hue on there as well, which is probably the one app that I use quite a bit for on the tablet. Because if I'm using the Surface Go as a tablet in the evening and I decide to change the light color, it's quite handy to do that rather than have the whole hassle of going all the way to my pocket to pull out the phone. And the other thing on new apps as well, and I can't show you this on screen, but I can give you a quick preview on here, is I did get the new media player app that replaces Groove Music app, which codenamed, was known as the Xbox Music and originally known as Zoom Music, of course. And in fact, the code name is still Zoom Music if you look at the executable files.
Alas, poor Groove and Zoom.
Yeah. Oh. Doesn't show very well.
Oh, that's gone badly wrong.
Yeah, that doesn't work very well, does it? Yes. So I can't really show you that without turning the backdrop, so I won't mess about. But I've got the new. It looks a lot better actually. You may have seen some screenshots. I might try and grab a screenshot and paste this into the video. But it does look better. One thing I did do though is I added the all my music. I use Spotify now really rather than local files. But I still have all my music MP3 files on OneDrive, and I added the OneDrive music folder, but it hasn't indexed it. Mm-hmm. So I can't actually play those files. I imagine if I'd kept them offline, or brought them down, copied them down, it would probably work. But I'm sure the old Groove Music would play directly from OneDrive. I thought you could anyway. I know you used to be able to through the Groove app, but they got rid of that. Anyway, but as a local media player, it works quite well. It plays videos as well as music as well. So while movies and TVs is still there, I suspect movies and TV will get pulled at some point, and it'll just be the one media player app. But you can have playlists and you can queue up tracks. You can play music, play video. It's got now playing pop-ups, and for video you've got very speed playback. I think you've got all the usual stuff you'd expect from a media player. I suppose Windows needs a default media player, and this is it, and it replaces all those. It makes it a lot more sense to call it Groove, because if you were new to Windows, you don't understand why it would be called Groove, and you wouldn't necessarily look for Groove either. I guess going forward, it'll be the default player as well. So if you download an MP3 file or a video file, it'll play through that as well.
So good old media player rides again.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a evolution of the other apps and not a brand new app or a reskinning of the old Windows 32 Windows Media Player. But yeah, it works fine. It looks nice and modern, like everything else. So I would imagine that will be in the dev channel for a while, and it'll make its way through to the other channels. Oh, I should mention as well that Your Phone app is. It said Microsoft said it was on the dev channel, but this machine is on beta, and it showed up on my machine as well. So I don't know whether it's because I opened it first on this one in dev, and then it synced across. But I actually noticed the file versions don't change. So there's some backgrounds, as usual, with Microsoft stuff now. There's a background switch that enables the new features. You don't actually. It's not a new exe downloads, for the store. It's the same version, just with a switch. And you can actually switch off the new look of it on your phone as well, and turn it back to the old version. But anyway, Microsoft must be doing that in the background. Talking of the store updates, hasn't there been a few issues with that in the last week or so?
Tell me all about it.
Well, I noticed we got a new a patch through the Windows Insiders that fixed launching executables, or is it particularly antivirus files, antivirus installers?
Oh yeah. This is the this was the very hurried sort of build they put out. I think was at the end of last week. This one came out. Where I think there was I think it happened. Was it Patch Tuesday that it happened? And basically, they effectively broke the Windows installer for a whole bunch of apps, notably including antivirus apps like Kaspersky. And the problem was if you attempted to repair or update the app using the Microsoft installer, it didn't work, which is pretty bad, to be honest. I mean, Kaspersky's recommendation was to not install this patch, which of course you kind of had to because it had some fairly important security stuff in there. I mean, the apps didn't stop working; you just couldn't fiddle with them with my installer. I gather the minor mod they did on the 19th was they pushed out build 22000348 that fixed it.
So when I said
although when we say fix it, there are obviously problems with the Microsoft installer.
Yeah, I said the Microsoft Store. I meant correctly Microsoft installer. So that was the issue. So, and did you also say that there was some other issue with the installer?
Yeah, well, there is. There's this kind of happened. I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday. This dropped yesterday. Appears there's a new 0-day vulnerability being found. I mean, people might remember things like Print Nightmare and the Hive Nightmare things, where if you got access to a machine with a just with low level rights on your account, you can effectively elevate yourself or escalate your privileges to that of the system, which is bad. And it transpires another one has cropped up around the Windows installer, where it's possible to. I think you have to have Edge installed, which, let's face it, is quite hard to avoid with most modern Windows.
I don't think there's any way around that.
And it basically uses the Windows installer, and the way it works. I mean, I had a little play with it myself earlier today, and it's disturbingly easy to make work. And you can effectively end up running code. So you can log as a user without rights, but you can run some code and find yourself quite quickly having a terminal open or a command shell open with full admin rights, which is pretty bad, to be honest. I think Microsoft are going to have to do some patching to fix it. It's not something that can easily be worked around. But it's just it's another one. I mean, it's another issue. It does feel like it's stacking up a bit, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and the Windows installer, I think there's quite a lot of development going around at the moment with that, because that's where all the new MSIX and all these new technologies are coming in, so that stores can have so that the Microsoft, the Windows Store can the Microsoft Store can get all these things like Firefox and everything else. So there's quite a lot of development going on in the background for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of I don't envy Microsoft trying to fix it and close the hole. I mean, again, to be clear, it doesn't mean someone can take over your machine particularly easily remotely, you need to have access to the computer to actually do this. So, I mean, there is not that says if a person with ill intent has got access to your machine, it's game over anyway. But still, it's not a good look.
No, it's not. No, but I suppose this is why you make sure you're always on the patched versions, and they can deliver those supported versions.
Unless, of course, they do a patch that breaks stuff. So it's, I mean, I really hate to ever say something like don't put on the patches, but sometimes these patches do break stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely something not right in the quality team at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah. I also, they put out a patch for Windows 10, didn't they? I didn't even do a post on this one because it was only for fixing Windows Hello, but I think that if you're on release preview on Windows 10 21H1 or 21H2, they put out this minor patch that was affecting Windows Hello for Active Directory.
Is this the first? I don't think, have we talked about Windows 10 21H2, because that obviously came out as well in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I did a post on this. I think it's September.
No one cares.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so small.
It is the smallest of updates for Windows 10. I mean, there's literally a paragraph, isn't there, that describes the changes.
But I think one of the important changes, aren't they going to an annual cadence now?
Yeah, that's something we
back from the yeah, which again, good. I'd say that's a good thing. Focus on quality. And get, I think one update a year is fine. I've never really understood the 2 updates per year thing. It always seems to be a bit excessive and seem to be asking for trouble. Whereas 1 per year, that's fine. Get it out, keep it solid. Happy days.
Yeah, and I mean, I can kind of understand in 2015 when Windows 10 was new and there was things to do on it. But we're a very stable state now with Windows 10. They're not going to introduce new features, so. Well, They haven't said that, but I suppose you wouldn't think so with Windows 11.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously, they are tweaking Windows 11. I mean, you mentioned the media player, and obviously there's your phone and stuff as well. But again, and I think they're also not going to be doing any new builds this week because of Thanksgiving. Are they?
Yes.
But they have continued to, happy days, make changes to the emojis.
Oh yes,
because that's the important thing in Windows is tinkering with the emojis. They're very nice mods, but I kind of wish they'd focus on some of these vulns as well.
Yeah, and I think if you got the dev build last week, you can change the skin tones and things like that in the emojis now.
Yeah, different skin tones for different family members, which it's all good stuff. It's just would hope Microsoft's got other things they should be fixing in Windows than adding more emojis, hearts and things and whatever else. It's very nice. Don't get me wrong, but there's other things that need dealing with.
Last week's build was 22504 for the dev channel, and like I said, it just had the new emoji options, touch keyboard customizations, your phone, but like I said, that's actually not specifically tied to the build, and then just a load of the usual fixes. There's getting some interesting. I noticed when I do the build videos, it's getting some of the node issues have been on there for a very long time. Some of them now.
Well, I guess they can stay there for a long time because there's going to be no more new builds of Windows 11 for a while. I mean, no actual full-on generally available updates.
Yeah, that's right. I suppose all these changes we're seeing in Windows 11 on the dev channel, they're actually potentially not going to be here till October next year. Could be.
I mean, I guess it depends what they do with that experience pack thing.
Yeah, and whether they just bring these features down. I mean, that's the thing you mentioned about going to annual updates. It's kind of like the core features, isn't it? The core operating system be annual update. Other things like emojis and touch keyboards and apps and things, they can just switch on and off whenever they want now. It's not really tied to it. It's only the core operating system like ARM64 support and things like that that's probably tied to an operating system build.
Yep.
I remember when was it NT4 where they said they were going to split them into feature packs and service packs.
Oh yeah.
Whatever happens.
Showing your age now. Showing your age.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. As we said before, NT4 probably the. Oh no, I think we agreed on two. I agreed on 2000.
Yeah, so we agreed. You said 2000. I said, oh, I think it might be NT4, maybe an NT351. I kind of think 351 might have been the peak, but you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Windows 2000, I think I decided. So no build this coming up this week, but last week's build was okay, and I'm running this on the Surface Go, and there's no major issues. It's amazing how stable these builds are now when you compare them to how they were initially back in the early days of Windows 10.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still running the dev channel and we'll build absolutely fine on the M1 Mac through Parallels.
Yeah, that's good. Although a number of people I see on Reddit and things saying, "How do you get off the dev channel? I want to go back to the stable build." We really don't read the read the notes when you join in. Then
the phrase is, I'm afraid, nuke from orbit. You have to accept whenever you join the inside there's a good chance at some point you will be nuking that machine from orbit. There's no kind of, I mean, exactly. Read the instructions, because, this is test software. There used to be that magic window where you could do it, but that appears to very much not be a thing. Not be a thing so much anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine it'll be, well, if ever it's going to be like October next year, but if ever, I don't think, apart from when the Windows 11, the week before Windows 11 launched, I think that was the one time in the dev channel for about the last 3 years. So,
and I've got to say, I mean, to be quite frank, reinstalling it, I mean, I'm always sort of, blasting machines and reinstalling them from scratch with lots of one drive and roaming profile. It takes me, I would say, minutes now to actually do a complete bare metal install. It's great. Yeah,
it's definitely much easier. I did it on my Raspberry Pi 400 the other week. And that's not meant to do it.
I've left that alone now.
Well, it's nearly, my Raspberry Pi 4 is getting to that time of year where it gets brought into into service for Christmas decorations. So.
I can't believe you use a Pi 4 to do Christmas decorations.
Well, it's driving the LED display.
Pi Zero, that's fine.
Yeah, well, I've got that other one, haven't I? That USB, the Nano. Is it Nano? Pico, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Pico Pi. Yeah, the Pico one is driving that LED light strip that I bought.
I mean, which is absolutely perfect for that, really. I mean, the Pico is a surprisingly powerful bit of kit.
I mentioned about Windows 10 getting an update. Did you know, and you can tell by a backdrop where I've been, did you know that Windows Media, Windows Mixed Reality has been updated for Windows 10 this week?
Well, yes, I did notice how quiet and empty your backdrop was, so I assumed it must be something to do with Windows Mixed Reality.
Yeah. So, there's Crowder in here tonight. Do you remember when Microsoft said that they'd have it so that you could actually go and visit people's homes? I remember them saying that. They were looking at doing that.
Yeah, there was lots of impressive tech demos and things, which, I mean, I'm guessing that's kind of what the Teams metaverse thing is going to be all about, isn't it, really? Yeah,
it is, and you say alt space and everything else. You can actually, but it would have been nice if they'd just done that out of the box, wouldn't it? But, it's very much, I suppose that's what alt space is, but it would have been nice just to be able to, hey, Richard, come to my Skyloft and we'll record the podcast.
Yeah, never ask me that question again in that tone of voice.
I'll get a few of those beers down you now. I'll get you the Skyloft. Although it's probably the dungeon one that you probably want to avoid. But Microsoft actually created a new alternative to the Skyloft or the Cliff House called Infinite Expanse. And the idea behind that one is, and actually this is in Windows 11 already, but I haven't upgraded my gaming machine to Windows 11 because it's also a music recording machine, so I haven't tried this yet. But they've brought it back. So instead of the Infinite Expanse, instead of it being the rich environment like you're seeing here, which is the Skyloft, is just a small environment, so that when you launch games from there, there's not Windows hasn't got to have all the I forget all the files that effectively go with this, all the vector files and graphics files that go with an expansive view like this. So it should take less resources, so games and things like that should work better. That's the idea behind it, which is actually what, if you remember, I actually created a few of these environments a couple of years ago, and I actually created myself an empty room to do exactly that. So it would launch into the empty room, then you could launch a game, and it would be less resources needed by the operating system. But also to go with that, they've made it so that you can launch Steam VR directly from Windows Mixed Reality now, without having to go into the Skyloft or the Cliff House, which is one of the issues that many people had. So if you're a Steam VR user with a Windows Mixed Reality headset, what you would have to do in the past is you fire up your Cliff House or your Skyloft, and then you can launch the Steam VR games, or you can launch Steam VR Home from that environment. But the new setting now enables you just to go straight into the Steam VR menu, so which is actually really good, because it cuts out a lot of the resources and that you probably wouldn't need. So for example, if I wanted to go straight to Project Cars 2 or whatever, you can do it from the game. But probably the best way would be just to get to boot straight into Steam VR and launch Project Cars, and you're in without all the extra resources that's needed that get loaded up and then you quit out straight away. So it makes sense that they've done that. I'm surprised it took so long, to be honest, but it's there now. They've also done some other things like with the Quest, it'll be different, but for Windows Mixed Reality, when you put the headset on, there's a proximity sensor, and it automatically loads up the WMR environment, and you've now got some flexibility over whether you want that on or off.
Okay, cool.
And it also knows when you take it off, it puts the focus back to the desktop, and you can turn that on and off as well. So I think these are all things that are in Windows 10, and they've actually Windows 11, they've backported to Windows 10. So that's good to see that they're adding those new features back into Windows 10.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and to be honest, as they should. I memean, there are a few things that Windows 10 is being kind of made to feel a bit like the poor correlation. Things like Intel 64-bit emulation in on ARM, for example, which is that's now going to be Windows 11 only, which I think is bad, because Windows 10 they keep saying it's going to be around until 2024. So they should be putting these things in. They're not putting them out. So I'm pleased to see them. I'm pleased to see that happening.
Yeah, and I imagine that I've seen, if you go on the Windows Mixed Reality Reddit, actually there's a lot of issues with Windows Mixed Reality. So there's a lot of people still staying on Windows 10.
Yeah.
And maybe like me with my gaming machine, it actually doesn't support Windows 11.
I was going to say they probably have to, because if you bought a fairly powerful machine about 3 years ago to run Windows Mixed Reality, you're going to be out of luck.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was sticking. Yeah, so that's why my machine's sticking on there. I know I could force it through, but I don't want to. So
no, don't do that.
Yeah. So it made me. I'm going to have to get my machine back. I did. Before we record, I actually did fire mine up for the first time in a while, and did wander around the Skyloft. And it is a fantastic technology, and it works really well. It just needs something to take it to the next level, because you can't do very much apart from launch games, and perhaps if you can watch your movies and browse the web. It's such a brilliant technology that is kind of just in search of a really good use case. I think that's probably
I mean, I think Microsoft probably their focus is more on the business solutions now, the HoloLens type things, the Teams meeting. I think the Windows Mixed Reality concept, as they originally came up with it, I think that's possibly gone now in favour of much more of a business thing. So, yeah. That said, I've got my Quest 2, which I need to really try and see what's changed in the last 6 months. I've not touched it for 6 months now, so there's been a lot of updates there too. The last time I used it was they'd implemented the ability to connect to your PC's graphics card and run Oculus Rift games on it.
Yeah,
except without wires.
Yeah. Yeah, my son said he tried that, and because he's got a fairly decent gaming rig, but he said it worked much better with the cable.
Oh, really? I've found it fine, but I guess horses are courses.
Yeah, I still fancy getting Quest because it's if that sort of standalone nature of it. I suppose you can get hold of them now at last, anyway.
Yeah, they're relatively easy to get hold of. I hear there are some updates due at some point, but I think people were expecting a major update during the recent event, and nothing really came out then. So
yeah,
apart from the renaming to Meta. I guess if you got one now, you could get one of the last Oculus boxes before they're all called Meta Quest or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I know that it'll be a thing I'll love at first, and I'll be constantly trying to play around with it and do stuff, and then it'll go on, over the side here, and then, I'll be like you then, saying, "Oh, I really should power that back up and have a look at it."
I have to say, losing the cable made it does make a big difference. The problem is there are some fairly major games on it, like Star Wars games, which initially think this is incredible, and then you think actually I can see the polygon count's not that high and the textures aren't that great. I'm purely playing a mobile phone game on my face, and that's what some of it is like. Whereas with say the Rift, and I think the Windows Mixed Reality headsets, obviously you're streaming it from the PC, so it's the qualities, the fidelity will be a lot better. But that said, for the odd quick game, I have to say I do like the Quest 2 once I try it on again.
yeah. So I think I kind of thought about it, but I think I took myself out of it in the end.
And you bought a Duo 2 instead.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing else I can get now. Not a Surface Laptop Studio or anything like
that. No. We can't.
No, I can't. No. And there was I did get an update for the Duo actually this week. Very exciting 80 meg security update.
That's good. It's good. It's been patched. I've actually got an old Samsung Galaxy S10 here, which I turned on for the first time in about a year, and that got a massive update. It went away for a long time, but now it's really Android 11, which is great.
Yeah. Android 11 is pretty good actually. I quite like Android 11.
I'm not so sure about Android 12, what I've seen so far, but hopefully the rough edges will get polished out.
Yeah, and of course the Surface Duo will probably get the 12L designed for the foldables. I read through some of the Google documentation on 12L, and it specifically mentions devices like it says Surface Duo. So I would imagine that Microsoft will go from 12 to 12L for the Surface Duo 2.
Yeah, definitely.
The Surface Duo should be getting. We've got just over a month now before the original Surface Duo should be getting Android 11. Microsoft said by the end of the year. Because that got an 80 meg patch. So if anybody was holding out for for Android 11, they'd be disappointed last month when they got the 80 meg security update. Now, I was going to ask you about Windows on ARM. You said there's potentially some movement around that. Because I was going to ask you if you're going to get one of the dev boxes, but of course we can't buy those in the UK.
No, not yet. The dev boxes, sadly, we can't get in the UK. But to be quite frank, the dev boxes look as though they're almost an afterthought, aren't they? One that they're running Windows 10, which is surprising in itself, and they're kind of like a really underpowered Android phone. Looking at what's in them, it's like, okay, it's not that great then. But at least they've turned up. But so this was written up by Rich Woods on XDA, developers.com, where he mentioned that Qualcomm has an exclusivity deal with Microsoft for Windows on ARM, which makes a lot of sense because it's, you kind of wonder why it's not appeared on more chipsets and perhaps why there aren't quite so many manufacturers building Windows on ARM machines. Perhaps this is part of it, and apparently this exclusivity deal is due to end fairly soon, which means that anyone can start building Windows on ARM machine on any chipset, not just Qualcomm Snapdragon. Although where that leaves Windows on Snapdragon, which is what they began calling Windows on ARM recently, I'm not sure. So it's all a bit interesting. I kind of hope they'll do some official support for Apple Silicon or for Windows on ARM, because for me that's been the best Windows on ARM experience I've seen, is running Windows on ARM on an Apple M1 Mac. It just absolutely flies. It's incredible. It's really quick. So maybe we'll see some things there. So yeah, but it's interesting, actually, very interesting.
Yeah, because you pointed this out to me the way, and I didn't realise quite what you mean then. So on these dev boxes, they're not Windows on ARM dev boxes, are they?
No,
Windows on Snapdragon. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which I thought was quite an odd way, which I thought was an odd way of phrasing it, because that branding only seems to have come about quite recently, from what I can see. I mean, maybe it's been there all the time. I've just missed it, but it seems to be quite coincidental that this story should come up a week after the dev boxes arrived, saying Windows on Snapdragon, and those dev boxes are not going to get Windows 11 until next year, by the sounds of it.
And I was thinking that you would just be able to go to Windows Update and do update and install, but that's probably not the case, is it?
I imagine there's a way of hacking around it, and let's face it, we all know that someone at some point is going to put Linux in those boxes too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and if you can get Windows 11 working on a Raspberry Pi, I don't suppose you should be too much trouble to get it working on that. But then you've got, I suppose you can use the drivers from Windows 10 and things. So yeah, I can imagine there would be a way of imaging those, but it does seem a bit strange to release a device for developers to test developing ARM applications and then it only be running Windows 10. It should be shipping with Windows 11.
Yeah.
Well, on the Surface Pro X, do they refer to it as Windows on ARM there, or just Windows because it's the SQ1 processor or SQ2 processor?
Not sure.
Yeah, it's just that Windows on Snapdragon. I'm sure that's the first time I've heard of it when these devices launched, and then now it's been popping up in a few different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, had the devices been available, I might have been tempted to get one just to see what they can do, because they're not that dear, but I'm not that bothered about it.
I mean, when they are incredibly underpowered, I think.
Because it's a 7CX.
And it's only, I think it's only 4 gigs of RAM, isn't it? So it's it's not a lot. And as I say, my best experience running Windows on ARM has definitely been on the M1 Mac. It just absolutely flies. It's very impressive how fast it is.
Yeah.
Although it's not supported.
Yeah, it would be good. But then, like you say, if that exclusivity deal means that Microsoft can't say anything about it, and then when that finishes, they can say, "Oh, by the way, you can try it on here, and it's now supported." Maybe that's why they've been very quiet about it. They don't really talk about that running on that processor, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
So I think that story from Rich Woods is perhaps an indicator that perhaps we'll see some movement on Windows on ARM, because I must admit I've been worrying that maybe it was just going to disappear. But perhaps there is actually going to be some movement, and maybe it's because of this exclusivity deal. If it exists, and I've no reason to believe it doesn't. If that expires, then perhaps we'll see a bit more competition, which is, I think, kind of what the Windows ecosystem needs. It isn't like Apple, where everything runs on Apple's hardware. The whole thing about Windows is it runs a lot. It runs a lot of things, or at least did until Windows 11, where Microsoft said no, nothing that's more than 3 years old.
Yeah, but on the other side, who else makes processors other than Qualcomm?
Oh, there's Samsung, there's MediaTek. Yeah. They all make their ARM-based chips. There's an awful lot. Yeah. So I mean, I guess look at phones and things and see what's inside phones, because just because it's an ARM-based phone doesn't mean it's going to be Snapdragon. It can be all kinds of takes, because ARM licenses the processor design. So and then other chip makers can take that license and do what they want with it. So within reason, obviously. So I think there's a good chance we could well see some interesting devices.
Yeah, that'd be good, because like you said, a bit of competition. And that's where Windows thrives, is when you get different devices from different manufacturers and different OEMs, and that's where we actually see some some progress.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Oh, someone's ringing my phone then.
Oh no!
I don't know who the number is though, so. And they stopped and they hung up as well. So hopefully a wrong number. Yeah, I would like to see some new, like, some more interesting form factors and things like that as well. So, and that's when you open it up, that's when you get some different things coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's just about everything I had for this week.
Well, you missed a very important anniversary. I mean, obviously,
yes, I forgot about that.
I mean, last time we did Windows XP, but I think this week or last week was the 20th anniversary of the Xbox, which is 20 years already. Eh? Yeah. Although when I say anniversary, it was the US launch. I think in Europe we didn't get it until 2002, I think. But I think
it was the following year. Yeah,
is when it launched in the US, and the big scary black box from Microsoft appeared. It was basically a Pentium 3, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wish I kept mine, but I did get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I really regret getting rid of mine because I chipped mine so I could run not Media Center. What was it? Was it
XBMC?
XBMC. Thank you, XBMC. That's what I. Yeah, that's I chipped it so I could run XBMC on it, and that was great. It worked really well. And then obviously from there I moved on to Media Center.
Yeah, in fact, I think it was actually called It was called Xbox Media Center, wasn't it, when it first launched? Yeah. Yeah, that's where it all started for them. Yeah, it was a great device. I was very excited to get it because I didn't have any consoles. I was more of a PC gamer, and my stepsons were they were being teenagers then, so it was I actually got it for us all. So I remember them playing Halo, 2-player Halo, and absolutely loving it.
Still a great game.
Yeah, and I had a Rallycross game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a Microsoft Studios game. It was where you did Rallycross. They could get like an RS200. I think we ended up buying a wheel for it as well. But it was a great console. But yeah, it was a big black chunky thing, wasn't it?
It was a big hefty. I mean, it was really heavy too. I remember just when this thing arrived, it was like, whoa, this weighs a ton. It was big.
And it felt substantial, and the controllers felt substantial as well. They were big,
massive controllers.
Yeah. I do remember that. It was a really good console, and I think it actually was. You could use it as a proper Windows Media Center extender, but you had to get it on a DVD, I think.
Really? Okay. I never tried it because I didn't start using Xbox as extenders until the 360.
Yeah, there was one for the original Xbox, and it was a DVD that you booted off to get it into extender mode. Yeah.
That sounds like soft sled.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it was exactly the same as the one that was in the Xbox 360, but it was in like an early version of it. But I'm sure that was the thing. Definitely was early days, but yeah, great device. And then of course, then we got the 360 where we got Media Center extenders and
things. Yeah.
Red Ring of Death.
Yes.
I used to love my 360s. Apart from the Red Ring of Death, I think I had two that died because sons had one or two that died. So between, I think we sent two back, and we got more repaired and whatever. I think they just replaced them, didn't they? In the end, so we just got them. Yeah, there's no issues with that. So that's good. I think I have still got an Xbox 360 in the loft. Yeah. For old time's sake.
I think my 360 went. I think at the same time I finally gave up on the dream of media center. I think the other thing with the Xbox was the Xbox Live service turned up in 2002 as well, didn't it?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Which I think has kind of proven to be a fantastic success, a way of keeping people on the consoles and rolling things out. Because I've now got a Series S, and yeah, it's great, and even XCloud is pretty good.
Yes, of course, that's where we've come to now, isn't it? Sort of full circle where we don't need eventually we won't really need the devices to have any powerful processing, and that's already with xCloud, isn't it? The process is just done offline and it's done in the cloud and it comes down.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you kind of play at xCloud and you think, I can see in the future you just having your Xbox Live subscription and you're not having any hardware. I can definitely see that coming down. I don't know how many more generations of hardware. I think there's at least one more coming down the pipe. But I think after that, I can easily imagine a move away from having physical hardware.
Yeah, a little box perhaps just to plug to your TV, which your controllers pair up with or something like that. And
exactly. I mean, it works through a browser, so anything works.
Yeah.
The only problem with it at the moment with Xcode that I've found is there's no keyboard or mouse support, which is a real pain for some games.
Yeah. It's amazing now that how you expect the how we've got to the stage where it's cloud. I remember, was it On Live that tried this? Must be a good 10 years ago at least.
Yep.
And that they ended up. Did BT buy them in the end?
I can't remember at all now.
I think so. Yeah, but that was the similar idea. But you need a small company can't compete in that space. You need real hefty data centers, and that's what Microsoft's great at, and Xbox fits in quite nicely, I think, from that point. Of the background services. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of my Xbox. Although most of my Xbox now it's an Xbox One, and it just gets used for Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. I think that's the main things it gets. It gets an iPlayer, I guess, I suppose. But those are the things it gets used for anymore.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, mine, my Series S does a lot of Sea of Thieves and now Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah. I need to have a go at that, but I did have a Xbox Game Pass, but I stopped it.
I just wasn't using it. It's okay. I have to say, I'm finding it incredibly buggy at the moment. It's one of those things where I come across like a bit of an old git, because I mean I can remember when games came out and they weren't full of bugs, and this game's come out and I've had a few occasions where we'll have to basically quit the game to kind of get it moving again, which is not good.
I just remember the one in 4 where I couldn't do the Top Gear challenge because it would crash. You just carry on driving down the road and nothing would happen. Yeah. I don't think I ever did that one. I think it was a known. And I searched for the issue and found it was a known issue. So yeah, I don't think I ever really solved that issue. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating when you get games like that. But I do like those Horizon games of just being the open world type ones.
Yeah.
Although someone told me that the test drive is coming back.
Really, test drive?
Yeah. So remember was it Test Drive Island?
Test Drive very well. Yeah, it was great when the first few iterations were great, and then it kind of got a bit silly. But the first test drives, I think I played it on the Amiga, I think.
Yeah, well, I had the first test drive on my PC, which with its monochrome Hercules graphics card. There you go, kids. Ask your granddad about that.
Exactly, the strange farting sound coming out of the PC speaker. It's the Rams. It's not a farting sound.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, that was pre-Sound Blaster. Pre VGA, CG, even it was probably pre EGA. But you got better graphics on Hercules text than you did on CGA because you could have a high res, but it was monochrome.
It was monochrome, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember buying that on floppy drives. Floppy disk. It would have been from a proper computer shop. Remember when you used to have computer shops and buy things?
I can remember being very excited when Outrun came out on the Amiga and being devastated when I tried to play it and thought, this is terrible.
Yeah, I'd Outrun on the Amiga, but just when that was coming out, I still had a Spectrum and I had Turbo Esprit. Do you remember Turbo Esprit?
Great game.
Yeah, that was a big step up from Checkered Flag anyway. So there you go. Kids. Ask your grandparents about Checkered Flag for the Spectrum. So 20 years of the Xbox. I think they've done some interesting things with it this week. I think you can look back at your achievements and things like that, can't you?
Yes, exactly. Or rather, your wasted life. 20 years. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I've been playing games. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then
what I find scarier is 20 more years, I'll be 70. So I was 30 when the Xbox came out. Yay, great! Now it's crikey, I'll be 70 by the time next anniversary rolls around.
You're closer to 70 than you are to 30.
Yeah, let's not think about that anymore.
Yeah. Okay, and on that
Depressing bombshell.
yeah, I think we'll leave it there for this week. So how's Lego going?
Lego's going well. At the moment, I'm currently trying to collect enough pieces to build an external tank and solid rocket boosters and mobile launch platform for the current Lego space shuttle model, which is turning out to be a massive undertaking. Thousands and thousands of pieces required.
Fantastic. And where we can see pictures of those?
You'll be able to find pictures at Richard_Speed on Twitter as I make progress. But at the moment, there's just piles and piles of brown and orange bricks that I'm going to explain why they're here and why they're very important. They mustn't be touched.
Yeah. My son finished building his Ecto 1 kit. It's big things, but that big.
Great kit, yeah.
Yeah, so we finished building that, but we weren't allowed to touch the dining room table while I was building it.
Well, you must not interfere with the process.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's quite pleased with himself. He did that. Right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at ISDixon, and we should be back next week with our special guest, and then we'll be back to our regular show the week after. So we'll see you then.